Welcome to Alternative Soundcheck. My name is Casey McCabe, and tonight we are very excited to have one of the greatest musicians on the planet and just an all-around good guy, Tim from Rise Against. How are you?
I am doing excellent. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's great to talk to you. It's great to actually have some FaceTime and catch up with some great artists. Where are you based in Chicago right now?
Yeah, based in Chicago. We just got back from a lot of touring. We finished our summer tour with the Descendants and the Menzingers. Just got back from the Aftershock Festival out in Sacramento, California with Metallica, doing some weekends, that kind of thing. And now we're on a little bit of a break. So it's been nice to be out and good to be home.
How do you sort of unwind when you get back from a whole summer of touring?
Oh man, I feel like it's different now, because like I don't feel quite the need to unwind. I've been so excited and just so jazzed to be back on the road and playing live shows. So and there's been so many live shows that are coming through Chicago that like last night I was at my friend Dave Haas's show. I try to go see shows when I can, try to just be out. And what's keeping me busy nowadays, I went back to college during the pandemic.
Where did you go study?
So I left college as a junior with a whole bunch of credits. And so I called the college up last year. I was like, yo, I got a bunch of credits. I left them behind. What can I do? Like, what can we do here? I want to get across this finish line. And so they recommended something they call the interdisciplinary studies. And that's essentially just taking a whole bunch of courses to cross you across the finish line. So, but I'll tell you right now, I'm in the middle of math and not excited about it at all. Not excited.
You're not. I don't think you are alone in that one at all.
No. Oh my gosh. I have teenage daughters too. So I have a whole new sympathy for what they're going through. Like we're all at like the kitchen counter together, just like, banging.
I see it more like you're going to them to be like, hey, can you help me out with this problem right here?
That is absolutely true. Like I'll be sitting over there like sweating and just like doing this work and frustrated. And they'll kind of walk up behind me like, oh, binomial formulas. Yeah, that one sucks. Wait, you're 13. What's going on here?
Right. I think some people would say that, writing songs and performing on stage is hard, but to go back and train your mindset to get back to school, was that sort of a challenge, or is that?
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you, like on Sunday night, just a few days ago, we opened for Metallica in Sacramento in front of 40,000 people. On Wednesday night, which was last night, I did a midterm in statistics and probabilities. And I will tell you, I was absolutely more nervous last night ahead of that midterm than I was going on stage in front of 40,000 people. It was just like, I was stressing out so hard.
Can you like slide that in an email to the professor? Be like, hey, I just was on stage last night with Metallica.
Right.
Leniency.
No, I'm going to have to use that card at some point. I feel like, I think I was just looking at my schedule and I've got a test scheduled for the same night we play a show here in Chicago. So I'm already trying to figure out what I'm going to tell this professor about why I can't be there for the test.
That is insane. I mean, you are kind of like reliving some college days of like you're performing, on bigger stages, but also prepping for tests and classes and kind of balancing both.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's how it was when we first started. We all had jobs. The band, if nothing else, was a drain on our income, not one that contributed to it.
Right.
Like we needed to work jobs. We needed to save up money to go on tour because tour was not a guarantee where you make money. You probably break even. But either way, you were making more money at home doing whatever job you had. And so, yeah. And then I was in school when the band started. I know one of our guitar players at the time, was in school. We had to base some touring around like him graduating in the finals. So yeah, in some ways I'm like right back there in the best ways and in the worst ways too, just all of it.
I feel like this is a good motivator for people who are like, I don't know if I should go back to school. I mean, to balance it out. Cause I've thought about, going back and taking some classes, but you're like, am I too old for that? Do I need to do that? But
right.
You're getting it done. That's great. So just real quick, what is the end, the end all be all for school? Like, what will you be, like a doctor afterwards, or?
No, no, nothing close to a doctor. I'll just have like a degree, like a bachelor's
Okay.
degree in interdisciplinary studies. I'll have like a diploma. I can like so my kids can stop telling me that I never went to college.
I can see an area in the back where you can put the diploma in the back.
Yeah, there you go. It'll be somewhere here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go back. I mean, to June. Was it June when you guys kicked off the tour? I mean, getting back out on the road. How was that for you guys in the band? Just really getting out there and performing in front of fans.
It was pretty incredible. It was like it was nerve-wracking at first, just kind of going back out there. Like what we do is so bizarre. Like what I do for a living is so bizarre. It's something that only makes sense to me while I'm doing it. And then the more distance you have from it, it just gets more and more bizarre in your head. You're like, wait, what do I do for a living? I just jump around on a stage and sing and play guitar. And,
Right.
that's what we do. That seems like a strange occupation. And it is, and it's only not strange to me when I'm doing it. And so there was so much distance between us and the last time we actually played a show that it was a question of like, yo, is this engine going to turn over? When we put the key back in, like, what's it going to be like? Are we still going to be the same people we were, 2 years ago when we last did this? And so that was like pretty nerve wracking. And then once we got back on the horse, it was like getting on a bike. It was like, okay, I remember this. I remember this place, this stage, these songs. I remember the things that it does to me and the things that it triggers inside me. I remember this crowd. And then it was very emotional for us, like the first couple times we did it, and then emotional for the crowd every single night we did it. That's what I noticed, because even once we were like those first few shows were very like emotional. And then even after we were on our 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th show in a row, and we were getting more accustomed to it, I could tell that crowd was like, this was their first show back. This was their first time, maybe in a room, in a crowd since like everything happened, And so you could tell that they were going through things that were way beyond your own band and your own music and your own songs. They were going through some personal things and some moments of just kind of release and catharsis.
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine all of us, going through the past year and a half, and to be able to get out and see one of your favorite bands, and at the same time being surrounded by other fans that, you guys can relate to a lot of the same stuff. So it is sort of therapeutic to go out and just have an insanely good time. Again, so thank you for getting out there and, performing.
Yeah, it's absolutely our pleasure. It was therapeutic is a good word. It was like definitely, running through those shows and getting to every city and seeing people. And sometimes it felt like you were, running across a collapsing bridge because there were so many shows that were getting canceled, so many band members that were getting tested positive. And our tour, knock on wood, fingers crossed, like we made it through the whole thing with no drama. We had to cancel a New Orleans show because we thought that it was putting the rest of the tour at risk. But every other show, like we played, and we were just we waited every day for our number to be up. We thought, what's going to happen here? Like, when is it our turn? And we made it to the finish line, which was Chicago, and it was just pure celebration.
Well, I mean, you still get on social media today, and I'm still seeing bands, right now canceling shows or having to postpone shows because of COVID or just things that are going on in the tour, or they can't get past certain things to even go on tour.
Right.
What do you think was like the secret sauce in you guys just kind of staying healthy and kind of getting through everything?
I could tell you that every single guy on the tour was vaccinated. I could tell you all the local crews, they had to be vaccinated in order to work at the venues they were working at. So there was no drama there. But it was like I think we just kind of, sometimes you just get lucky, we were smart, but a lot of those bands were smart. I know bands that had like breakthrough cases and bands that got COVID that they were being smart too. So I'm not trying to say other bands weren't being smart, though there are other bands that weren't being smart. That certainly happened out there as well. But we took it seriously. Like we knew we wanted to see the end of this tour. We wanted to make it to every single show. And so the Menzingers, which was our opening band, they took it seriously. The Descendants took it seriously. We took it seriously. All of our crew took it seriously. And so we just tried to minimize our exposure, and try to make sure that we were on stage every night for the people that wanted to see the show.
Yeah. And I imagine, a lot of people wonder, do people just go out afterwards and hang out and go to, I don't know, parties or whatever? But I mean, like after you get off stage, it's kind of like you disappear and play it safe this tour,
Yeah. That's how it was. And it's funny because, after our tour, there was an article, and I think it was Loudwire or something that was covering our tour and how, we were one of the few tours that started and finished with like no interruptions, and so they were like, how did they do it? And they went in, and I credit our tour manager, John Dunleavy, for, really clamping down and being serious about, guests or no guests. It was mostly no guests, to be honest. Like we didn't really see people, even our close friends, for most of that tour. It was a lot of lonely dressing rooms, um, but I feel like the byline of that story too was kind of also like, in the most unsurprising news in the world, guys that are married in their 40s that are still playing in bands tend to be a little more low key than these kids in their early 20s who are out there touring.
I was gonna say secretly you're probably like, yeah, I mean, I wish you could have people back here, but look, guys, we can't. Rules are rules, man.
Yeah. Right, totally. Normally we'd be clubbing all night long, like we do every single night at 42 years old. But maybe tonight we won't do it. Yeah. So like our routine is like, we're like a mostly straight edge band, a bunch of married guys. Like our dressing rooms have never been like the stuff of lore, So we were never going to be out, doing crazy stuff anyway. But even in the times that we would have gone out, or people we would have seen, the exposure we would have had, we tried to minimize that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And secretly, you guys go out and rage. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Come on. I mean, okay, so now you lined up this tour. Everything went well, which is great. And Nowhere Generation, the new album, you guys are performing. This is the 9th album for you guys.
Yeah, 9th album.
Dang. I mean, looking back at 9 albums, I mean, how do you do that?
I have no idea. Every single one, I didn't think we would do another one. You know what I mean? It's just
right.
Sort of,
I mean, after every one, do you kind of be like, all right, we're good. We're good now.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I always want to I always think that there's more left. I'm always trying to write the best Rise Against song. You know what I mean? No matter what, no matter what we've done before, I'm always trying to think about what we can do next. What have we not uncovered yet? Like, what have we not tapped into yet? But the way like the creative gods work, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you turn that tap and something comes out, and sometimes you turn it and nothing comes out, Right. I feel like that's not always in our control. We can set ourselves up for that kind of success, but yeah, every record, it's a bit of a mystery, and I think there's a lot of elements that go into a band creating more and more records. I think we have a good chemistry as a band. We're motivated to keep going out there, and we've got great fans that keep us doing it, and their appetite for our music inspires us.
And getting out and performing the new album, I mean, how was the crowd receptive to the new material?
That was really cool. I feel like sometimes the paradox of being in a band is that nobody wants you to go back on tour until you've recorded a new record, right? And then once you get on tour, people just want to hear your old songs.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of like the paradox. And so I'm always wondering, like, okay, here we are. We did a new record. Now we're back on the road. Are people going to be receptive to it? And this one, like we were playing Nowhere Generation, the single. People were very receptive to it, which was really exciting. We were playing a little bit of Talking to Ourselves. There's an acoustic song on the record called Forfeit. And these things sort of like, they fit really seamlessly into our set. They felt like they were part of like the body of work that we've done. And so people really seemed to dig it, and that was exciting because, especially when you talk about a band's 9th album, you know what I mean? Like you're talking about people that are still listening to us 9 albums later are diehards. People are still interested in what we have to say on our 9th album. Those are diehards. And so it's exciting when people actually embrace what you do.
Was there a particular song from the record that I guess the band enjoyed playing each night?
Well, that's a good question.
Maybe as the tour went on, and
I'd say like Broken Dreams Incorporated. Mm-hmm. That was one that I felt like it's a fast song. It requires a lot of proficiency on all of our parts to execute it, and so it's one of those that got better and better with every show. And it became like a more powerful song, and it came across really well. So if I had to pick one, like that one was like a sleeper hit for me. It was like a fun one to play live, and people seem to like it.
Will we see that one? Because you guys are headed out on a UK tour, but is it going to be acoustic?
Yeah, it's just acoustic. The UK wasn't prepared to let us in and open up big venues when we would have wanted to go on sale. I think they're getting
Okay.
closer to that now, but we would have had to announce it months ago. And so this was sort of like, well, how can we get there? How can we show up and have our faces be seen and start to talk about this record with our fans there? And one of the ways to do that was they started out as like in stores, like just like
Okay.
playing inside record stores. And then we were going to play like outside the store. They were calling them like out stores, you know? And then next thing you know, we're in these like smallish venues. That'll be, I think, like, 500 people, 800 people, that kind of thing. And it'll just be me and Zach going out there and just playing some of the new songs, some of the old songs, and just trying to, get there in any way. We're just trying
Right.
to
Sometimes,
get,
I mean, look, it's great to be out there at a massive crowd and you on stage, but sometimes to have that intimacy of just you
yeah,
right there with a couple hundred people, even that is just, it can be better.
totally. Totally. Yeah. And this is like pandemic improvising. Like we're just trying to get there, get to you, what I mean, put ourselves in front of you and start making sure that our record gets properly represented like over there. So, and as soon as we can, we will be there, playing bigger shows.
I feel like at this point, you guys should make some cliff notes for other bands on the proper things you guys are doing, the steps you're taking to make it
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah. It takes a little bit of get people getting creative. So
Let's talk about the single "Talking to Ourselves." Can you take us back to when you were writing that, and where the idea came from, what inspired it?
yeah, Joe brought me the music, and it was like a really cool song. And right away, I was just kind of singing different phrases to it, just kind of throwing stuff on there. And then I really hammered it out, probably here in this room, actually. Just kind of trying to get like a theme and a concept behind it. And like, I think that like the lyrics came from a place of like, um you know I guess like when people see what punk rock is and what hardcore is, they see it as this very like graphic, visceral representation of like anger and angst and all these things. And I wanted to write a song about like what it takes or what it took to get there, how you got to that place, how you got angry. And so the chorus is like, I never wanted to disturb the peace, but it feels like no one's listening. So it's like when you feel like you're backed into a corner, when you feel like that you have to do something or say something crazy just to get people to pay attention. That's what talking to ourselves is. And kind of like what I guess, like in some ways, like what our band is. If it seems like we're an angry band, like we are, and then here's what we're angry about and how we got here. And the music that we deliver, we present to you in a way to kind of like jolt you like out of complacency. And so talking to ourselves is about that complacency and what it takes to get somebody out of that complacency.
And what I love about you guys as a band is you also how interactive you are with your fans, and you set up an 800 or not an 800 number, but at a hotline.
Yeah, right.
And maybe you can talk about that and go into the hotline, because if they call the number, which is 1-833-4-nowhere, they're going to get you right away. and tell us about the hotline and what you want to do with the hotline.
Yeah, this whole record, which is called Nowhere Generation, it was really inspired by some of the stories that we heard from our community of fans. People talking about how it like they're living in a world that feels like they're slipping through the cracks. They feel like they're invisible. They feel like the rug is being pulled out from under them and the finish line keeps moving on them. And I was hearing these stories, not just here in America, but in Canada and the UK and Europe and Australia and Japan, everywhere we would tour. I felt like no matter what, side of the border we were on, people, like these young people had the same story. And I was like, this story deserves an ear. It deserves attention. It deserves someone to listen. And I wanted to create more opportunities for us to listen, because we only have so much interaction with our fans.
Right.
And this phone number was a way for everyone to kind of just basically just call it up and just like dump their story like into this big group of stories, and where we could kind of hear what the record means to them, and or what Nowhere Generation means to them, like what they feel like Nowhere Generation means, and how they think that they are a part of it, what their life looks like, and what are their fears and anxieties about tomorrow.
I think it's a great way to hear from your fans and these stories. And again, that number is 1-833-4-NOWHERE. And we're going to hear Tim's voice when you call the number, and then leave your stories, leave your message.
Yeah, exactly.
And Tim, I want to thank you so much for taking the time today. For those who visit Chicago, do you recommend a good spot we should go eat? Is there a restaurant you recommend? What do we need to hit up if we hit up Chicago?
Oh man, well, I mean, if you're coming here, nobody does deep dish pizza like Chicago does deep dish pizza. So if you come here, you got to find Lou Malnati's or Chicago's Pizza, or anywhere that does deep dish pizza. There's some good stuff out here. So yeah, get on that. Get on like I'll tell you a Chicago dog, but I will clarify that I'm a vegetarian.
Right.
But I don't know that real hot dogs are meat either. So, but a Chicago dog with everything on it, whether it's a veggie dog or whatever you want to do. Find yourself one of those. I think those are the things that Chicago does pretty well.
All right. Thank you for the tips. And Nowhere Generation is the album. Go see him on tour. We'll see you back on the road again. And good luck with the studies. I can't wait to catch up with you next time and see how all your tests and exams go. You got this, Tim. I can't
wait for them to be over. I'll be happy. Man.
You're like spring break. When's the time to go?
Exactly.
All right, Tim. Thank you so much for talking with Alternative Soundcheck. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks, Casey. See you, man.
All right, bye.